In the events of the Willamette incident, the people in this town had to deal with more than just the loss of their friends, family, or the zombies, but survivors who had succumbed to madness. Whether this was due to psychotic tendencies or for self-preservation, Frank in these events had faced a number of adversaries in his hunt for the truth. But today we will be listing the top 10 psychopath encounters one may face. This list will be a countdown of the psychopaths who gave me the most trouble in my first few playthroughs. So with that out of the way, let's go through the dreaded psychopath encounters.
Trust me, I'm a butcher.
Larry is one of the bosses from the events of the story who had captured Carlito after getting shot by Brad. When you first encounter him in the meat processing area, he wants to force Carlito through the processing machine for some, as he calls it,
Oh, this is good meat, huh? I just got it in here. It's fresh.
The fight with Larry can be a difficult one, even though I didn't have much trouble with him, but in the fight he can tackle Frank, hang him up on a rack where he will proceed to slice Frank up, and can even throw the hanging carcasses at him, and if that's not bad enough, he can regain health later on in the battle. Although at this point in the game I was already kitted with the glorious mini chainsaw, which is arguably the best weapon in the game if we aren't counting unlockables. The battle is a good one, but I just wish the death scene was more than a man squealing like a stuck pig. But I guess that's kind of what they were going for with the boss being a butcher.
Who's there? Stay back! Stay back! Get in closer. I'll light this place up.
Remember Paul? Of course. Who could forget the man who waited for a zombie outbreak to occur before opening up to those who laughed at him from across the way, albeit in the worst possible way, threatening to burn everything down except for his own insecurities. The fight with Paul is quite an annoying one, where he will just run away from you, which would be fine if not for the fact he also drops bombs while doing this, but if you don't run after him, he will follow a Molotov cocktail your way. But Paul is a predictable boss, with that being he has a pattern, so you could either fight him from a distance while dodging his ranged attacks, or you can cut him off by dropping down from above to land in some hits on him. But after the battle, the man is just so testy that he ends up burning his manhood away by complete accident. Not exactly a great way to go, but fortunately Paul is the only psychopath in the game that can actually be saved by using the nearby fire extinguisher. So the choice to save him is up to you, which I wish Dead Rising had more choices like this in the conclusion of a boss fight.
A non-believer in our midst.
Sean is an interesting one, as the first time we encounter this guy, he uses the loading screen to his advantage by running away, so we are left to fight the cultists who flood the mall, just like the zombies, which the zombies don't even try to attack them, like the two are in cahoots, which the cultists can run after you like a suicide bomber, attack you with knives, and even drugs Frank with knockout gas before whisking him away to their hideout, which they confiscate your items and clothing for some reason, which for many had been just an extended game over. But if that wasn't bad enough, when you approach the boss battle of Sean, a literal wall of cultists stand between you and him. When you actually get to the boss fight, you will find that Sean is a very agile man, you know, for his age, where he can dodge ranged attacks by strafing and sliding towards Frank like a charged attack. His attacking animations are also pretty quick, so if you aren't careful, he can knock you down and stun lock you, kinda like another arsehole in this game. But if that isn't bad enough, he has a jump attack, which I did die to this guy quite a bit in my first few playthroughs, but fortunately Frank has the ability to hold more than one item at a time, which is where the glorious mini chainsaw comes into play, as the rate Frank swings this bad boy around is faster than Sean's attack rate. Once the battle is over, however, we get the satisfying end to Sean.
I beseech thee! so.
You can talk to my 12 gauge. Don't get no closer. I'll blow you all to Kingdom Come.
As a newcomer to Dead Rising, what would be your first thoughts on how to deal with the zombies? Maybe grab a 2x2, or maybe a lead pipe and start mowing down the zombies, or maybe even a guitar. And you wouldn't be wrong in your experimentation, but if you were like me, I went into Dead Rising with the notion of using firearms, like how they do in the movies or in other games. So I actually opened up the map and saw there had been a gun store in the mall, specifically in the North Plaza, but when I arrived, I had no idea the level of bullshittery that was going to hit me after opening that dreaded door. Which brings us to the most unfair advantage you could have in a boss fight, Cletus. You see, Cletus is wielding a shotgun that has a knockback effect, which is only afforded to Cletus and other shotgun-wielding psychopaths. But if by some miracle you manage to get behind the counter, Cletus will just say hell no and just pick you up and throw you back over. So not only does he have a super shotgun at his disposal, but the ability to throw you back into the lion's den. Now that's just cold. Fortunately, there is a way to cheese the boss, but unfortunately, as a kid, I didn't think of that solution and just avoided that area. But the way to cheese the boss is to grab a sniper or a handgun from the rack and get out of the shop, kill the surrounding zombies, and then kill Cletus from a distance.
Listen to me, and listen good, partner.
I don't allow vandalism in my store!
Talking about shotgun-wielding maniacs, let me introduce you to the bane of Case 2, Steven. I'm not going to lie, the way the developers had introduced Steven was so perfect, from the eerie shots all the way to the deranged yelling from him. But the battle was the one that caused me to have so many instant game overs, since the timing mechanism was very unforgiving in the original game. As Steven is hauling a trolley of death, which he will charge you with, all the while holding Isabella captive. But if you were like me, you'd think, well, he can't get me up here. Wrong. He'll whip out his shotgun and knock you back down onto the ground, but with some quick attacks and outmaneuvering him, you can make short work of him. The main reason for me putting Steven this high on the list is because of how many times I had to fight him, due to the mechanics being very unforgiving, something they nerfed in the remaster.
Clean up! Register 6!
All right, looks like we found our next contestant. Take out that dude and snatch his old lady.
The Convicts are the bane of my travels through the leisure park. You see, you'll be minding your own business, making your way back to the security room, possibly with some survivors, and then all of a sudden you'll be jumped by 3 guys straight out of GTA, all complete with a machine gun mounted on a frickin' Jeep. Not only that though, the beginning of their theme certainly adds to the tension, basically giving you all the information you need to know, which is why the shortcut you get from Greg or the maintenance tunnel key is a godsend. I mainly ignore the convicts and just leave them be, but the way to beat them is to use the trees, the walls, and the benches to your advantage. Wait until they get stuck by their own folly and then take out the driver before taking out the passenger and gunman. And what you are rewarded with is a Jeep that really isn't that useful, but the gun on the other hand is one of the strongest weapons in the game, which can be invaluable in boss fights. However, unlike other psychopaths, the convicts actually respawn.
By the time I'm done beating information out of you, you are gonna be begging for death to come take you away.
If you ever thought that Dead Rising didn't have some darker themes in the game, then you'd be wrong when you decided to visit the DIY store, as we meet Cliff Hudson, who is voiced by Steve Bloom. You know, the guy who played Dempsey in Call of Duty Zombies.
Hi, I'm Dempsey, and you are dead!
Which is kind of fitting, as Cliff just so happens to be a war veteran. The fight with Cliff is something that made me question my abilities, as this guy can be a complete ass to fight, as he just loves to lure you into a false sense of security before ambushing you in these lanes. Think you're getting the upper hand in this battle? Well, Cliff will just drop into one of the many holes in the floor only to respawn on top of the shelves and start hurling bombs at you before dropping down to grab you. Oh, and if that's not bad enough, he can also drop flares to stun you. The cutscene that plays after you beat this guy, however, is a bittersweet ending to this character, but the terror this guy instilled in me was legendary.
Here. Take this. My granddaughter. She was done in by those damn zombies. When I heard her scream, I just lost it. Everything went white suddenly. The war, it wasn't over. Not for me. It never ended.
Oh, the memories I have with this guy. Adam was the second boss I ever faced off against in a Dead Rising game, and I'm sure he won't be the last, what with the deluxe remaster coming out soon. The first time going up against him, however, was a chilling experience considering this is how we are introduced to him. And it was a very unexpected, seeming as we're called to the Wonderland Plaza by Otis to investigate why the ride is going out of control, only to be met with the Joker of this game. And like the Joker, he is quite the adversary, considering he is wielding the beloved mini chainsaws. And if you've made it to this part of the video, you know how much I love those weapons, as they make short work of future boss encounters, especially when they respawn when you leave the area and come back, so you can theoretically hold as many of these as the game will let you. But now we have to face them in the heat of battle. But Adam also uses ranged attacks, such as throwing knives and Dragon's Breath. Yes, that's right. Knock this guy over and he will return the favor by breathing fire into you, knocking you back. And he also blows up balloons which will stun Frank if popped near him. At this point, I'm willing to say that Adam was the result of some government experiment gone wrong. And if that's not bad enough, his attacks with the chainsaws are insane. From spinning around to jumping over obstacles like he's a Spartan from Halo, all the while having the agility of a gymnast. The dude has it all, but he does give you plenty of ways to take care of him, like using the balloons to your advantage to stun him, and waiting for him to finish his spinning attack so you can get one in on him. But after all that, the death is certainly the most satisfying part of the boss. But even more satisfying is gaining access to the beloved mini chainsaw, but also a new survivor to save, which grants you a shortcut through the mall.
My shot! You ruined my perfect shot!
Kent, the bone-headed rival photographer, complete with a tripod. In the first day, however, Kent acts more like a guy who is up for some friendly competition, but after completing his next challenge, Kent is upset because you take better pictures than he does. But he will tell you to meet him again on the third day, which at this point I'm more interested in the location of Kent's hideout, which sadly isn't shown. Regardless, when you arrive on the third day, he has captured someone and is willing to infect them just to capture the turning process. But when Frank intervenes, ruining his shot, the battle begins, which isn't that much of a battle to be honest with you, as you can take him down pretty easily with the mini chainsaw. So why is he so high on the list, you ask? Well, it's because of what happens when you arrive too late for the scoop that the real battle begins, where Kent takes Frank's useless items and for some reason his clothes as well, forcing you to fight him with anything nearby like potted plants. But Kent is a similar psychopath to Sean, with that being he is a very agile and versatile psychopath, and his attack patterns and animations are fast enough that he can stun lock you until you die. And if you manage to get away from him, he has a pistol so he can shoot you if you get too far away. And that's why he deserves being this high on the list. But who is worse than Kent, you may wonder? Who else gave me so much trouble?
I commanded the Santa Cabeza cleanup operation. Humanity has proven itself to be quite adept at making mistakes.
That's right. This guy has caused me to have so many game overs to the point he has cost me records while speedrunning overtime. So many times have I been on pace for a new world record only for this guy to tear me a new one. See, at the beginning of the fight you are forced to fight him with nothing but your fists and your wits, as all the items you were carrying have disappeared. And Brock can block, which does make it harder to get a hit in, and he can also grab you and drain your health away until you break away. But not only that, the tank you fight on is surrounded by the undead, and Brock can easily knock you off the tank, but through perseverance and learning how to use certain attack moves like a typical fighting game, you can succeed. The first time I actually beat Brock had been by complete accident, as I managed to, by some miracle, whittle down his health, and then I did a roundhouse kick followed by a somersault kick. The issue for me is when I try to do these moves, it just simply doesn't work. However, when I try to do other moves, Frank will do the complete opposite. It's pretty much a curse at this point. It's the main reason I don't play fighting games. But what is important is I beat him. Unfortunately, his death was very underwhelming. Come on, at least let me see the zombies rip him apart. Apparently though, Brock can be defeated in no more than 4 hits. Literally 4 hits, which is probably the reason this guy spams the block move all the time. And that is it for my dreaded 10 of Dead Rising's lineup of psychopaths. Let me know in the comments if you agreed with my assessments or if you have your own lists you wish to share, and I look forward to hearing them. Special thank you to the members of the channel: Hammond, Sithlord906, Killer1260v2, Stabber OP Sig, Bronze 189, Ero Solano, Art Gains, Eric Harrison, Huckcast, and to the Legend members, Afron2371 and Michael Boss. Thank you for giving that extra support to the channel, and if you want to become a member and gain exclusive benefits like early access to new videos as soon as possible, then hit the join button and click on the tier that's right for you. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you all back here very soon for some more history deep dives, lore, and much more in the future. Let me know what you think about the topics discussed in the comments, and I look forward to hearing from you. And be sure to join the British Alliance today by subscribing to the channel, and make sure to have all notifications on so you never miss a video. And I will see you all very soon. And be sure to leave this video having a good one.